Hello students, today we shall read chapter 2 from your first flight textbook. The name of the chapter is Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. We shall read this chapter in 5 parts as it is a big chapter. Today we shall read the first part of the chapter. Have you heard of Nelson Mandela? Mandela and his African National Congress, who spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. What is apartheid? Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. Mandela had to spend 30 years in prison. Let me give you the brief introduction about this lesson. What we are going to read in this lesson. Actually, this chapter has been taken from Nelson Mandela's book of the same name, Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. It provides us a glimpse of the early life of Nelson Mandela, his education, 30 years in prison, and the pains he had suffered in his young age. The chapter recounts his fight for the freedom for his own people who were tortured by whites. In this chapter, Mandela gives two contradictory pictures of his own country. One in which the blacks were tortured and suffered quietly, and second, the blacks will be free to live the life of their own. This is how the first paragraph goes. I'll read the paragraph to you. Then we shall read. I'll be explaining the lines. 10th May dawned, bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders of South African soil, on South African soil. So here, what does the word dawned mean? Dawned is began. Pleasantly, giving a sense of happiness, satisfaction. Besieged. Besieged is to be surrounded by. Dignitaries. What does dignitaries mean? A person is considered to be important because of high rank or office. Sandstone, here it is sedimentary rock consisting of sand and quartz grain cemented together. Amphitheater. What is amphitheater? An open air theater. Supremacy, the state or condition of being superior to others, to all others in authority, power or status. So what is he trying to say? On 10th May was the day when Nelson Mandela sworn in as the first black head of state, South Africa. It was after years of struggle that his anti-racist party came into power. Until then, the seat had always been occupied by white presidents. That is why the author referred to the day as bright and clear. It was a morning full of hope. Days before this date, Many notable personalities started congratulating him for his victory. For the first time in the country's history, so many international leaders came together for their inauguration ceremony. The ceremony took place in an open circular building made of sandstone consisting of union buildings in the Pretoria city. Pretoria is the capital of South Africa. That's what is there in paragraph 2. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater formed by the Union buildings in Pretoria. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic, non-racial government. Now, what does the word mean? The phrase mean? Rainbow gathering of different colors and nations. Here means a beautiful coming together of various people like the colors in a rainbow. In the third paragraph, on that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zinani. On the podium, Mr. de Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the Constitution and devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and its people. So what is it? Deputy, second in command. Sworn, what does sworn means? Given under oath. Pledged, committed by a solemn process. A solemn promise. Now here the author was accompanied by his daughter Zenani on his big day. And what was that big day? He was sworn in as the President of South Africa. And who was the first two vice presidents who had taken an oath along with him? The second sworn in deputy president was Mr. de Klerk, and the first deputy president was Thabo Mbeki. Then when his turn came, whose turn? Mandela's turn came, he committed to respect, protect and abide by the Constitution and to devote his entire self into the welfare of the country. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, here he addressed the people on this occasion. What does he say? Today, all of us do, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. We were outlaws not so long ago, have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. Now, who were the outlaws? What does it mean? Because of its policy of apartheid, many countries had earlier broken off their diplomatic relations with South Africa. So that's what he's saying. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take positions with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. Here, what is assembled means gathered, together in one place for a common purpose. Confer, granted. Glory is here, honor. What is outlaws? Because of its policy of apartheid, many countries had earlier broken off their diplomatic relations with South Africa. On our own soil, in our own soil. Possessions, here is ownership. Dignity, the state or the quality of being worthy of respect. Now the author, who is the author here? Nelson Mandela also mentions some parts of his speech where he said that everyone by his presence was giving rise to hope for a new beginning. Previous rulers were discriminatory and lasted for long, more than 300 years ago. But the ones who are given the opportunity to rule now, what is this? Who are given opportunity to rule? African National Congress would stand up against this discrimination. What is the discrimination? Racial discrimination. He is glad to host a ceremony with the presence of global leaders. It is an achievement in itself. There was a time when South Africa, for practicing apartheid, lost all its international political relationships. Now, when there is no segregation on the basis of race and gender, other nations are happy to have healthy democratic relationships. Finally, they have come to power and they pledge to make everyone proud. Who has come to power? African National Congress. He thanked everyone, especially the international leaders, for joining them in celebrating their achievement, which is a step towards an equal society where every human will be treated fairly. In the last paragraph, we say, we have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. Now here, what does emancipation mean? Emancipation is the fact or the process of being set free from legal, social or political restrictions. Liberate. What does liberate mean? Free, release. Bondage, the state of being a slave. Discrimination. What is discrimination? Being treated differently or unfavorably. What is deprivation? Deprivation is the damaging lack of material benefits considered to be basic necessities in a society. They were not given, they were deprived of these basic necessities. Oppression. What is oppression? Prolonged, cruel or unjust treatment or exercise of authority. What is glorious? That means having or worthy of or bringing fame or admiration. Reign. What is reign? Reign is rule or govern. Now here in this last paragraph he mentions that after great struggle they have finally achieved political freedom. His government promised to free everyone of the still existing, what is that still existing? Poverty, hardship, and inequalities of all kinds, along with assuring everyone of a country where no community will be considered inferior. He then exclaims that freedom should rule, and may God shower his blessing on their land. That's it for the first part of this chapter. Thank you for watching this video.